he comes out with the right mentality, he's taking the right shots, and he's making the right shots, again, sky's the limit for the guy. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to another episode of NBA Now. It's your boy Dom, and we're gonna get right into things here today. So, today, we're talking about Cam Reddish and the Atlanta Hawks. Obviously yesterday I was watching the game. I only caught about the first half of the game. But he looked super decent. When I, would glance up, he'd do something. And I just liked what I saw from him. He was able to kind of go off the dribble, got a few drives into the paint where it looked super solid. And then, he was kind of able to just make things happen. He was hitting his three-pointers. I don't remember exactly how many he hit, but he was shooting pretty well from the field. And this is a guy that, even on one play, defensively, he looked super solid because he, I can't even remember what happened, but for the Mavericks, they either got a rebound or a steal or something, and they were going to push it up court and try and get a fast break, so they tried to, throw it far, and Cam Reddish looked like a safety out there, right? He went out there and he just snatched it straight out of the air, and it was a super good defensive play. I actually thought I only caught about the first half of the game. I then went to watch the Broncos game, which that didn't do too well, but I thought for the first half of the game, I loved the refereeing of this game, just because they weren't calling like BS fouls. Now, yes, there were some that you could have called a foul that the players complained about, but I thought it was a super good ref game for the first half. I guess it's a good thing I didn't catch the second half because apparently that wasn't much of a half. But yeah, Reddish looked super good in what I was seeing, and he ended up scoring the most points for their team, having 20 points off the bench. And as a Duke fan, this was a guy that when he was at Duke, I thought he should have been the second option. I was a very hard critic of RJ Barrett when he was at Duke. And at this point, RJ Barrett's had a better career. And obviously, I thought he was going to get drafted higher. But I thought Reddish would be the better NBA player when things kind of came down to it. And, he hasn't quite to this point been that. But he definitely still has the potential to be. And I think that that's something that we don't talk about enough. This is a guy that was drafted 10th overall essentially by the Mavericks because he was the extra pick that the Hawks got in the Luka Trey swap that is going to be famously known for pretty much all of NBA history, as both of them blossomed into stars, which not everybody thought was going to happen. Both players, I think, had their fair amounts of critics. They still do, but their critics at least recognize what they are, right? And yeah, I thought, Reddish in college was a super good three-point shooter, and was going to be able to translate that super well to the NBA. Now, I didn't think he quite got the opportunity that he needed in college to kind of be better than he was, but, when that Duke team needed somebody to make a shot in the clutch, it was Cam Reddish, time and time again, and he lit it up for them, right? So he ends up getting drafted 10th overall and goes to the Atlanta Hawks, and, he hasn't had a bad career to this point. Currently his career averages are 10, 3, and 1, right? Which isn't phenomenal, but it's decent, right? He's been decent. And we've seen progression in his career. So in his first season, he averaged 10, a steal, an assist, and about 3 rebounds. This last season, we saw a little bit of progression where he kind of scored an extra point. So not by much, but he scored 11 points. Again, a steal per game, an assist per game, and then 4 rebounds per game. So not like insane progression, right? But we've definitely seen some progression out of him, and we've seen him just get better at some things. I think that first year, he was just a little bit timid when he was kind of coming out. He was playing timid. He had this, I don't remember if this was his first or second year. I want to say it was his first year. We had this wild layup where you looked like the Tasmanian devil just spinning in circles trying to get it to go. And I don't believe he made that, but it was a super interesting play to watch. But yeah, yesterday, this is a guy that yesterday he put up 20 points, and he was able to get that one steal I was talking about. he got an assist and 3 rebounds, so not a terrible stat line. He had 3 turnovers as well, which isn't great, but could have been worse, I guess, in his 20 minutes that he played. But he shot 3 of 4 from 3, making 75% of his threes. Definitely a knockdown shooter from out there. Only 46% overall from the field at 7 of 15, so not fantastic, but obviously, like I said, he was the leading scorer for the Hawks yesterday in their blowout victory over the Mavericks, and that was coming off the bench with 20 points. And, he had a plus-minus of 14, which was on par with John Collins, who was a starter for them, obviously, yesterday. So, I mean, he was playing as well as the starting unit guys, essentially, when you look at it like that. And, this is kind of a conversation that I've been wanting to have for a while. Like, when is he going to blossom into a star? Could it be happening now, right? When you see leading scorer off the bench, typically it's either a 6th man of the year guy or a guy that's potentially going to have a breakout season. And when I was looking at most improved player thoughts and stuff like that before the season started, Cam Reddish never popped into my mind. I was thinking Kevin Porter Jr., I was thinking other guys like that, I was thinking Michael Porter Jr., just guys that I thought were just going to come out and really take full advantage of just some stuff that opened up for them, right? Obviously, for the Rockets and Kevin Porter Jr., it being John Wall not playing, and him kind of getting more opportunity in that point shooting guard role type thing, combo guard type guy. And then for the Nuggets, obviously Jamal Murray not being there, right? So I think those were kind of my 2 bigger guys that I was really looking at for this award. Precious Achiuwa as well, getting opportunity to kind of potentially be their starting big man out there in Toronto. Who knows what he can really do. Obviously they got destroyed in their first game, so who knows, maybe it'll be a development year for them and he might go out there and still get it. But Cam Reddish is a guy I didn't even think about when I was looking at this award, and he's definitely a guy that could do this, right? Now obviously they've paid Bogdanovic and they've paid Herter, who are kind of at the same position as him, but DeAndre Hunter, knock on wood, you don't want to see a guy get injured, but he showed injury history. And then as this team just gets rolling, they're going to, rely a lot on their depth and stuff like that. So Cam Reddish might not quite have the opportunity to score enough points to be that all-star guy that you might think he could be or want to be for a most improved player, because I can't remember whose video I was watching the other day, where I think it was King of the Fourth Quarter, where he said something about how 6 of the last 7 most improved players had gone on to have all-star seasons that year. And I mean, that's something we don't typically think about, because when we're predicting most improved player, we're predicting guys that are going to have a point jump or whatever like that. But to really kind of the fact that he deep dived it, and it was something I never thought about, was how this guy is going to need to improve enough to make an all-star team. And when you look at this Atlanta Hawks team, really there's a number of guys which you could say could make an all-star team next to Trae Young if this team has a good enough regular season, has a good enough record. And I think with their depth and their style of play, they definitely could be one of those teams where after their conference final run, they come out and they get a top 4 seed or something like that. They get 2 all-stars, whatever it may be. We know definitely seeding affects a lot of your bench all-stars. So if you're playing super well, you're gonna have a higher chance of getting that second all-star. And, I would say that when you look at this team, Cam Reddish is among the top 3 guys next to Trae Young that could get the All-Star appearance. Because I think if DeAndre Hunter has a good enough year, he could make the All-Star team. If John Collins has a good enough year, he could make the All-Star team. And then the next guy you look at is Cam Reddish. Now, I don't think Clint Capella is going to make it, although I think he's good. I don't see Bogdanovic being an all-star. But the other 3, I think you look at them and you see the potential. And you could also just see them taking this year and just running with it and doing super well. And so that's super interesting to think about. And Cam Reddish is definitely a guy that, coming out of high school, he was a guy that was, number 1 guy. He can take the shots. He's got that mentality to be an all-star level player. In college and so far in the NBA, we haven't quite seen that. But I think in that first game, we were able to kind of see him a little bit more composed. He seemed like he had really started to adjust to the NBA. And, if he's going to continue to play like this, I think the sky's the limit for the guy. I mean, he's a super athletic 6'7", 6'8" wing. He can shoot the ball super well, like I said. And that just opens up a ton of things for you, offensively and defensively, especially... we've seen the defense translate fairly well as he's gotten into the league, it's really been that offensive attack. And if he can get that down, that's a two-way player on a pretty good team. Maybe he ends up stealing a starting role over a Bogdanovich or a Hunter or something like that if he's having the better year. And all of a sudden, boom, he's an all-star. So, am I saying he's going to make the all-star team? No, I'm not necessarily saying he's going to make the all-star team. But I think that the chance that Cam Reddish comes out this season and, has a fantastic year and makes the all-star team is definitely there. It's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely something that I think is within his reach, as long as he just kind of comes out and plays, right? If he comes out with the right mentality and just, I think we've seen definitely his shooting's been there, like I said, his defense been there. So if he comes out with the right mentality, he's taking the right shots, and he's making the right shots, again, sky's the limit for the guy. I would say I'm a Cam Reddish fan, so I'd like to see if he can do something for him. And I think this is a guy that's got something to prove, right? You go to that Duke team and you're the number 3 option, and you end up coming up clutch for him a ton, and then you fall in the draft a little bit down to number 10, and you end up going to Atlanta where you're kind of used as a bench player. So, with the success of the Hawks, I think they're still looking for a guy to step up next to Trae Young. Obviously, they made the conference finals and everything this last year, but nobody's still looking at them like that team, like a team that's meant to be really super feared out east. And so, if Cam Reddish were able to step up, maybe you could push yourself into that category. So I think there's definitely opportunity, and I think he's got the mentality and potentially the chip on his shoulder to do it. Again, I'm super interested to see if he does it. The Hawks, I think now with the lesser fouling rule and stuff like that, hopefully should be a little bit more watchable for me this season, because last season, Trae Young did not make me want to watch the Atlanta Hawks, I have to be honest. But I hope that the rule changes and that they're a super fun team to watch this upcoming season. I think the style of play that they play with should bode well for winning, and I can't wait to see what Cam Reddish does. So if you guys think Cam Reddish could be a star or take a significant jump this season, let me know. If you guys think he's just going to stay the same, obviously that's a possibility. Let me know in the comments down below. We're gonna end it off here. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace out.